Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Over 200,000 cars built and delivered in quarter two. Many challenges. Tesla overcame those challenges. This is really big. This is huge numbers. I am really excited. I hope you're really excited about this. Great stuff. You can see Elon's tweet. That's what alerted me to it. I was supposed to be paying attention. I wasn't. This is my tweet. I just tweeted this. Tesla produced more than 205,000 vehicles. Let me show you that really quick. Tesla produced 206,400 vehicles in 2020, in the second quarter of 2021. This is the big number. Deliveries is a number that Wall Street will talk about. Deliveries matters if you're having trouble selling cars. If you're producing cars and you can't sell them all, then deliveries matter. The reality is that Tesla doesn't really have trouble selling their cars. The limiting factor on Tesla, aside from batteries, is how many cars can they make. How many batteries do they have to make cars? How many cars can they make? They produced 206,000 cars. Just for reference, last quarter they produced 180,000 cars. This is a 14% increase in vehicles produced. Most of the increase, you see, Model 3 and Y is 204,000 vehicles this quarter. It was 180,000 vehicles last quarter. Model S and X is 2,340 produced, up from zero. So that's big, but most of the increase is in Model 3 and Model Y. My understanding is a lot of this increase is Model Y production increase in China. There's some increase probably in Fremont. There's some increase in Model 3 in Fremont and Shanghai, but the big jump is probably Model Y production in China, maybe also in the US. We're going to see these numbers later in the quarter. We should get more, hopefully we will get more information later in July when we get the financials. So this is absolutely great news. Really excited to see this. 206,400 vehicles delivered. Now, let's talk about where this is going. Because I'm not a short-term guy, I'm a long-term guy, and even 2021 I think is not that important compared to where we're heading in 2022, which I'm going to talk about, but we got a 14% increase over Q1. I think we're going to see a significant increase in Q3. Two reasons why we're going to see a significant increase in Q3. Model Y is going to continue to scale production in Shanghai in particular. You'll see some gains in Fremont in 3 and Y. You'll see some gains in 3 in Shanghai. But the big jump will probably be Model Y in Shanghai. And then you've got S and X going from 2,300 produced in quarter two. I think we're going to see at least 10,000 S and X in quarter three, and maybe more like 20,000. So that jump takes us in quarter three, maybe as high as 240,000. Now, the numbers I have in this tweet here, I think this is a little bit optimistic. But I like being optimistic, so I'm going to be optimistic. I think we're going to see potentially 240,000 vehicles produced. I'm not focused on deliveries. I'm focused on production. Delivery numbers go, kind of variable, but what really matters to me for the long run is production. How many can they produce? Because whatever they make in the next few years, they're going to sell everything they make. So I think we might get to 240,000 vehicles produced in Q3. When you figure you're going to see a 10 to 20,000 vehicle bump just from S and X, and you're probably going to see a 10 to 20,000 vehicle bump from Model 3 and Model Y, and I think that gets us to 240K. Then in Q4, I think you're still going to see some increases in 3 and Y, and S and X are going to ramp more. So you should see 25,000 in Q4 from S and X. I think close to 25,000. Maybe more than that, but 25,000 is a good ballpark number for S and X in Q4. And then you're going to see as Berlin and Texas come online, and there's this open question, how many vehicles do Berlin and Texas produce in Q4? Probably not that many. Probably only going to produce a few thousand out of each. But if they are able to significantly continue increasing Model Y, and this is partly based on my conversation with James Stevenson. If you check my channel, I interviewed James Stevenson a while ago. I think you're going to see a significant jump. 275,000 might be a stretch for Q4, but I think it's in reach. If you see another 10% gain from 240K, that's 264K. You only need 11K out of Berlin and Texas. If you see a 10% increase in everything else from the 240K in Q3, which is maybe optimistic itself, you add those numbers up, 180K, 180,000 plus 206,000 plus 240,000 plus 275, you get to just over 900,000 vehicles for 2021. I think we can rule out the million vehicles in 2021. I think we can be pretty clear Tesla's not going to deliver a million vehicles this year. I think that ship has sailed. We can get over it. We can move on. The number of vehicles they would deliver in the next 2 quarters is too crazy to say they're going to get to a million in 2021. Honestly, I think 900,000 is probably a stretch, and maybe 880 for the year is more reasonable. Even 860 is possible, but 900,000 is in reach. I don't think it's that much of a leap to get Tesla to 900,000. So sorry, Rob Markovich says, Warren, don't forget the Model Y tent in Fremont. Yeah, I think Model Y is going to increase in Fremont. I don't know if they're going to be able to scale that much. I don't think the goal is necessarily to produce a lot of Model Ys in Fremont. The goal is to get Berlin and Texas up and running. That's where the real gains are going to be for 2022, which is what matters more to me. So, and thank you, Team JG, for your support. Really appreciate the super chat or the super sticker. I'm not sure what we call that. I think that's a super sticker. Thank you. So, this is big news. Really excited about this. Really looking forward to. Now, let's talk about 2022. So 2022, Berlin and Texas ramp. So it's not just a little bit of an addition. Berlin and Texas are going to ramp. Fremont and Shanghai are still going to grow, but Berlin and Texas are going to grow a lot. You're going to see a huge contribution for Berlin and Texas. So you look at what, if they deliver, if they're in the ballpark of 900,000 vehicles in 2021, and you ask yourself, okay, what happens in 2022? Drew Baglino, I think I might be the world's biggest Drew Baglino fan. It's very possible. I feel like people don't appreciate Drew. People are really excited about Elon. People love Franz. I don't feel like people get how important Drew is to the company. And Drew said in the Q1 call, I think it was, that they expect to more than double their batteries from suppliers in 2022 compared to 2021. So all this production that we're going to see in 2021 is basically on supplier batteries. Maybe we're going to see some 4680 cell production towards the end of the year, contributing to some vehicles. But this is almost entirely, this 900,000, if it's correct, is almost entirely supplier cells. If they're going to more than double supplier cells in 2022, that's at least 1.8 million vehicles in 2022, unless they start really shifting battery cells to Megapack and Powerwall. But that's a very small part of the business, so I think a lot of it has to go into vehicles. You're probably talking at least 1.8 million vehicles just from supplier cells. And then you add in the 4680 production from Tesla. And I think it easily pushes them to 2 million vehicles in 2022. That's the big question. How many vehicles can they do in 2022? I think we're pretty clearly talking about over 2 million vehicles in 2022. And then we go to 2023 when 4680 has fully ramped. And that's where I think we see 5 million vehicles in 2023, and that's 5 million vehicles is really just Berlin and Texas fully ramped in 2023. Berlin and Texas fully ramped. Fremont has grown some. Shanghai has grown a bit more. I think you get to 5 million vehicles without the battery day vehicle, the 2023 Tesla Compact, whatever we're calling it. Really stoked about this. Really excited about this. Deliveries, sorry, I've been showing the production numbers because I think they're more important. Somebody asked this question. Deliveries was about 201,000 instead of 206,000. So there's 5,000. You can look at that two different ways. You can say, oh, well, the deliveries weren't as high as we hoped, but that's an extra 5,000 vehicles delivered in Q3. Those vehicles are going to be delivered. So that's not really a significant issue. I think we're going to see the first vehicles from Texas and Berlin in Q4. I think maybe November. I think Semi is going to get going this year with a small number of deliveries, but that's not going to be a significant part of Tesla's profits. I think we're going to see. I don't really care. And somebody said this. What were deliveries? Analysts focus on that. I don't care what analysts focus on. I care what I think is important. I'm much more interested in what I think is important than what analysts think is important. So I don't care. The analysts can say whatever they want. If you're worried about short-term share price, then you're worried about what analysts think. If you're excited about the future of Tesla, then you're not worried about that at all. That's trivial stuff. No one cares. So I'm just looking at the comments in the chat. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden. and all my Patreon supporters for their support, helping this channel grow. Patreon supporters get early access to some videos. Check out the t-shirts. Elon, I think you were less wrong. I think you were less wrong this quarter. Really excited. T-shirts at elonbits.com. Link in the description below. What do I think about the Tesla Plaid? Oh, let me talk about that. Okay. There's a story. I tweeted this. Let me see if I can find my tweet on this. I tweeted this. I think it's hilarious. There's this story. If you're not following it, there's a story about a vehicle, a Plaid vehicle going on fire, and some lawyers are suing. Let me see if I can get this. I'll get my tweet for you. I don't think I can show this on screen. At least I don't know how, but I can screenshot this, and I'm going to share this tweet that I just did today. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm just getting this done. About ready to put this on screen. Okay, where is it? Here we go. Okay, so there's this story in the news that a brand new Tesla Model S Plaid spontaneously burst into flames while its owner was driving it. This is the story. Now, what you see here at the bottom of the tweet is there's 3 different lawyers. And Mark Garagos I've actually heard of. He's actually somewhat famous, but 3 different lawyers tweeted that they're working together representing this guy on a lawsuit against Tesla. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now, the guy wasn't hurt. So the car's worth 150 grand maybe. This case is worth 150. The case can't be worth more than what the car was worth. If you had to buy a new car, you get your $150,000 back. And honestly, if this actually happened and you went to Tesla and you said, hey, my car burned on fire, I want my $150,000 back, they'd give you $150,000 back. Now you got to give $50,000 of the $150,000 to your lawyers. Why are there 3 lawyers on this case? This is like the craziest thing. I could do this case in my sleep. I don't understand. Is this somehow going to generate more revenue? If you weren't hurt, what are you getting? I don't get it. I don't get it. If the guy wasn't hurt, if no one was injured, there's no value. Your case is worth $150,000, and you could have gotten that without paying lawyers. So what? I don't get it. I just don't get it. More likely than not, the story isn't true because these stories are never true. So thank you for asking about that. I did tweet about that earlier today. The timing is very interesting. Right as Tesla's announcing earnings, all of a sudden there's a bad story about Tesla in the news. Nonsense. Just fucking, excuse my French, but just nonsense. Effing nonsense. Do I know if Tesla will produce their own batteries? Yes, Tesla is going to produce their own batteries. They're producing 4680 cells in Cato Road already, and in Berlin and Texas, they will be producing them. Let's see. Oh, let me move this over this way, and then I can not look away from the camera so much while I'm talking. This over here. Okay, let's see. 5,000 vehicles are only in transit stock and delivered in 3 to 4. I think they'll be delivered quick. They may already be being delivered, most of them. My prediction range for the stock. So Wilhelm Tell asked, and most of my viewers know this. I don't make short-term stock price predictions. I know what the stock is worth. I don't know what Wall Street will value it at. I can't do that. I can't tell you how Wall Street's going to value something because Wall Street doesn't think the way I do. I think the stock is already worth $2,500 a share, if not $5,000. So, the growth that we're seeing is amazing. Absolutely spectacular. When is FSD coming? It's 2 weeks. FSD is coming probably in 2 weeks. When FSD comes is not important. If you're a short-term investor, then you care about that stuff. If you're thinking, well, as long as FSD comes by 2025, as long as the robotaxi network starts in 2025, we're good. It doesn't matter whether the robotaxi network starts tomorrow or 2 years from now. The real value in the robotaxi network is in the future, not now. You need enough vehicles to support the robotaxi network. I just don't get it. Any idea on timeline for Model X Plaid? I believe Model X will be shipping this quarter in low volume. I think they're going to... I've heard they're already shipping Model S long range, and then Model X Plaid should be this quarter. And, probably next month is my guess. And then Model X long range, all that stuff is great. My estimate for 2021 is 900,000 after 201,250 deliveries Q2. So let me put up my tweet again. See if I can put up my tweet again. Here's my prediction. Okay. First of all, let me go back to Q2. You're correct that it was 201,000 deliveries, but it was 206,000 produced. The deliveries are trivial. They over delivered last Q1. If you look at Q1, I don't have the number of the tweet up. Q1 delivered more than they produced. Q2 delivered less than they produced. But those numbers those numbers run together. You're not going to see a significant difference. And the fact that they under delivered in Q2 just means they're going to over deliver in Q3 because they got an extra 5,000 cars on hand that they'll deliver. So I don't see that as being a significant issue. So yeah, I think that, and I don't want to say 900,000 is my estimate. I would say 900,000 is an optimistic projection. Q3 will tell us, right? If they get to 240K in Q3, then we're going to see 900,000 vehicles for the year. If they, and I'm talking about produced, not delivered. I don't think delivery numbers is as important as production numbers. I understand other people's analysts think differently. But I think we're going to see, I don't think Cybertrucks deliver this year, Chris. So I really think we'll see on the Q4 delivery, the Q3 delivery numbers, which will be October 2nd this year. You know, if it's significantly less than 240,000, then there's no way they make 900,000 this year. If it's more than 240,000, then they're clearly going to make 900,000 this year. David Todd says, what's with the Palantir and Tesla agreement that came out on Tesla's website? I have not seen that. I don't know anything about Palantir and Tesla. I don't think they're important. Everything I know about Palantir, that's not a fit for Tesla. Tesla does its own enterprise software. Will the delayed federal tax rebate hurt Tesla's second half? No, I don't. I mean, first of all, it's not a rebate. It was a tax credit. I think it would be better for Tesla if the tax credit had passed. I think it shows the lie that Democrats care about the environment. The fact that they didn't get a tax credit through is a very clear evidence that they're not motivated by incentivizing the shift to sustainable energy and sustainable transportation. I'm not a fan of the Republicans either. I just think, the Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, Democrat Party story that they actually care about the environment. Well, they didn't try very hard. They didn't try very hard. Whatever they were doing, they didn't try very hard. $1 trillion company this year. I don't like to predict Matt Burns asked $1 trillion company this year. I don't like to predict short-term share price. The short-term share price is determined by stock traders and Wall Street who don't value the company properly. How much do I think the Cybertruck will cost? I think that the tri-motor will be 70 grand. The dual motor will be 50 grand. Maybe there'll be some slight increase in prices. Maybe 75 and 55 because of the cost of supplies, but I'm not sure. Maybe that the supply chain prices come back to reason before they start delivering Cybertruck. Aim Straight asks, am I still buying Tesla stock at its current stock price? I don't have any cash left to buy stock. I'm 81% of my portfolio is in Tesla. My retirement portfolio is in Tesla. I don't have free cash to invest. It's possible that I'll have some free cash to invest in a few months, and probably longer than that. When I have some free cash, if I have cash to invest, I buy it. I put it in Tesla. If it was $1,000 a share, I would still be buying Tesla. I don't. Doesn't matter whether it's 600 a share, 700 a share, 1,000 a share. I think Tesla's worth 2,500, 5,000 a share today. Not what Wall Street values it. It's not a target. It's just that's what I think the company's worth. I can't believe that the company isn't worth. It's the most valuable company in the world to me. The growth is there. It's so obvious. What will be the first company to spin off SpaceX? Starlink. Boring. I don't really understand that question. Boring Company is already spun off of SpaceX. Starlink will IPO in 2 or 3 years, if not sooner. Tell us how climate change is fake. I have never said that climate change is fake. That is a misunderstanding of my position. If somebody wants to have a conversation about climate change, this probably isn't the place for it. I think that climate change might be overstated. I think that fossil fuels have been terrible for humanity for a long time. Long before anybody was talking about climate change, I wanted to see us reduce our fossil fuel consumption for many reasons. And if you think that climate change is the biggest problem from fossil fuels, then you are not paying attention to the amount of lung disease that we see around the world from coal and diesel and all this other stuff. So I don't think Model Y is sold out for all of 2021. I think Q3 is sold out. I don't believe that Model Y is sold out for Q4 yet. Well, I could be wrong. That's a good question, Matt Burns. Will there be a single motor Cybertruck ever? Probably, but that's down the road when they have way more batteries. I don't think we see single motor Cybertruck until 2023 at the earliest, and maybe 2024. Will I buy Starlink stock later? It depends on what happens at the IPO, how it's valued. I think Starlink is going to be worth between $1.5 and $5 trillion. So if valuation at the IPO is like $500 million, I'll be buying stock. If I have free cash, and it's really like, do I think Starlink will grow more than Tesla will? You know, is Starlink a better investment than Tesla? I'm not so sure yet. We got to see. I can't predict whether it makes sense to buy Starlink stock until we see the terms of the IPO. And Elon has said he's going to try to make it possible for Tesla shareholders to get an edge on buying Starlink in the IPO. Yeah, well, Biden never name dropped Tesla exactly. Harry, I talked about the Model S fire earlier in the. I'll put the tweet up again. I think it's crazy that somebody had an incident on Tuesday and already has 3 lawyers. I think this, and the value of the case is the value of the car. There's no extra value because the guy wasn't hurt. So what are the lawyers adding to this? Why are you giving a third of your $150,000 to lawyers? It makes no sense. So, which is going to IPO first, SpaceX or Starlink? Starlink will IPO before SpaceX. I think that's without question. I don't think SpaceX. I'm not sure SpaceX will IPO. And I don't know how Tesla holders would get preference. I don't understand how Elon thinks he can do that, but maybe he has a way. I don't know. What do I predict for 2021 and 2022 production? I put that in my tweet here. I think we're going to see, I'm hoping, this is my hopeful numbers. This isn't my prediction. This is what I think is reasonably achievable. That Tesla produces and or delivers 240,000 vehicles in Q3. Q3 will over-deliver compared to the production number because they have 5,000 left that they couldn't deliver in Q2. So I think we might see 240,000 production. These are production numbers. I think we might see 240,000 production in Q3, 275,000 Q4. These are optimistic, but I think it's possible. And that would be 901,000 vehicles in 2021. 2022, I think we break 2 million. I think 2022, we go over 2 million vehicles. No, so Mitchell says Mark Garagos is representing the driver of the Plaid fire. No, let's be clear about this. He's got 3 lawyers. There are 3 lawyers representing this guy. Mark Garagos, Jason Setchin, who's in Miami here, and Ben Macelis are all representing this guy who's allegedly had this fire in his Plaid, which oddly only has this one photo. Where's the other photos? This looks to me like a baloney story that somebody decided to throw in there to distract from obviously great news for Tesla. Yeah, I mean, what's the point of the lawyers? Your car was worth 150. Let's say the car was worth 150 grand. You go to Tesla, say, "Hey, my car blew up. Give me my 150 grand back." Tesla gives you the 150 grand back. Now you got to give 50 of it to lawyers. There's no other damages. It's not insurance. My Tesla weekend. Tesla's responsible for the. Tesla would give him 150,000 for the car. Was it Gordon Johnson's car? Sure. I don't think Gordon Johnson can afford a Model 3. Did he get hurt? No, he did not get hurt. Everything I saw, he did not get hurt. So, awesome stuff. The world needs less lawyers and more Tesla YouTubers. That's what I'm doing. I've stopped being a lawyer and I'm being a Tesla YouTuber. Awesome. All right. Let's see. I don't know if I have much more to say. Are there any other questions in the chat? Let me just reiterate. I'm going to put my tweet up again. I think this is the big news. The fire is not the big news. This is the big news. This is the big news. Tesla produced 206,000 vehicles, 206,421 vehicles in Q2. 206,000. That is an increase from 180,338. That is a 14% roughly increase in vehicle production in one quarter. Now, we got to recognize S and X, 2,300 vehicles, should be easily 10,000 vehicles in Q3 for S and X. I'm going to say 12, 15,000 for S and X in Q3, possibly 20. I think 20 is a stretch, but possibly 20,000, 15, 20,000. And then Model 3 and Y, we're going to see significant increases. I think that's going to go up to 220, 225. So if you get that to 225 and SNX gets to 15, that's your 240. That's where I think we're headed. And then for Q4, that's when we're looking for, can we get the 275 in Q4? Can we get to can they get another 10% out of 3 and Y in Q4? And then can Berlin and Texas spin up? I don't think we're going to see Cybertruck yet. And then for Q4, for 2022, Drew Baglino, they're going to more than double sales from battery suppliers. That takes you over 1.8 million in 2022. And then you add in 4680 cell production, and you get to over 2 million vehicles in 2022. And then 2023, I think that's when the growth, we're going up that curve. We're going up the exponential. The exponential's curving up. And I think we may see 5 million vehicles in 2023. Again, I know I tend to be overly optimistic. Even 4 million vehicles would be spectacular in 23. Jason Wynn asks, how fast do you think Berlin-Austin ramp will affect margins? I think margins grow over time, so the margins in Berlin and Austin will be low initially. As I understand it, you have to spread the amortization of the cost of the factory over fewer vehicles at the beginning, so the margins are lower. And then, of course, you get more efficient at your production, so that's another reason margins grow over time. Sue says, I want my S in Q3. Why aren't they going to 3 to 4 shifts? I think they will go to 3 to 4 shifts, but I think it's, as I understand it, you start with 1 shift or 2 shifts, and then you go to 2 shifts plus overtime, and then you go to 3 shifts, and then you go to 3 shifts plus overtime, and then maybe you get to 4 shifts. You don't just go straight from 2 shifts to 4 shifts. That's how I understand how it works, but I don't really understand how it works. That's just what I've heard. Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos are going to space. When do I think Elon is going? As I understand it, Branson is technically not going to space. He's going short of the Kármán line, which is 60 miles roughly, or 100,000 kilometers. 100 kilometers. Jeff Bezos is going to space. It's a pogo stick hop. It's not really that big of a deal. Elon could go to space anytime he wanted. He doesn't. That's not what's important to him. He's not doing this for the joyride. Elon is doing this to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy and make us a multiplanetary species. He's not doing it for a joyride. Yeah, Michael Burry. Yes, it was Michael Burry's plaid. I love it. Berlin and Austin likely not contributing in a meaningful way until Q1 2022. I agree with that, Mitchell, but it depends what you mean by meaningful. I don't think it's crazy to say we'll see 10,000 vehicles out of Berlin and Austin in Q4. And if you get 240 in Q3 and then you increase 10% from that, I think, Model S and X will increase more than that. So you're probably going to get a 10 to 15% increase without Berlin and Texas. I think another 10,000 or so vehicles from Berlin and Texas could get you to that 275 number, the 900,000 vehicles for 2021. So, all right. I don't talk about big wind turbines. I don't know. I actually had this theory that Tesla might have a wind turbine, some sort of wind power plant in the Skunk Works somewhere. But Jeff used to run a big website. I'm a big fan of Jeff Bezos. I make fun of Jeff Bezos, but I'm actually a Jeff Bezos fan. I think Jeff Bezos has made the world a better place. I love Amazon. I'm an Amazon shareholder. It's my second largest holding. My biggest mistake was not buying more Amazon when I bought it. Really quick again, I want to thank the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden and all my Patreon supporters. There's a link in the description below to support this channel on Patreon. Patreon supporters get early access to some videos, bonus content. They get to submit questions in advance for the regular live streams. And check out the t-shirts, elonbits.com. Elon was less wrong, right? I think Elon was less wrong in Q2. I think we were all less wrong in Q2. We had very pleased with the numbers. I actually was predicting 205,000 deliveries in my last prediction, so I came really close. Mark is an actual moderator, and I'm very pleased with what Mark does for the channel. Verisimilitude. I want to thank Mark for being here to moderate. Mark is a consistent moderator for the channel. He wouldn't say that if your daughter worked there. Wouldn't say what if be nice. What are you saying? I wouldn't say what if my daughter worked where? At Amazon? Daughter worked in a taco place. Came home smelling of grease every day. That was a crappy job too, but she did it. What's the connection of the Vasa Law Firm? The Vasa Law Firm is my biggest supporter on Patreon. It is a Swedish law firm. I told them I didn't think it made sense from an advertising perspective to sponsor the channel because literally 1% of the views on this channel are in Sweden, and most of their business is in Sweden. They just like the channel. Herr Ulrich and Chris are great guys, and they like the channel, and they support the channel, and I appreciate them. So that's the connection to the Vasa Law Firm. I think they're great guys. Probably Per Ulrich is a great lawyer. Chris is a great guy. Is Berlin and Austin still on track for late this year? Yes, Berlin and Austin are on track for later this year. I had a conversation with someone deep inside Tesla, a key player at Tesla, and my impression is that things are going great with 4680 cell production. Berlin and Texas are going great. Everything looks good. Be nice. I don't think Amazon pays more than the crappy job my daughter had working in a taco place. I think it's really important for young people to have crappy jobs when they're young. I worked at Dairy Queen and Burger King when I was a kid. Those were crappy jobs. Really important to work a crappy job when you're young so you learn you want to do better than that. So really, really important. Some new patents filed on solar roof tile camouflage. Will I reconsider if the problem keeps improving? I won't reconsider for my house because we are literally having a roof installed in a month or two. We don't have time to wait for Tesla's solar roof to get better. I am hopeful that they work it out, and I don't think the problem is the technology of the tiles. The problem is the install. I think the answer for Tesla succeeding in solar roofing is solar roofing robots somehow. Some kind of AI solar roofing robots. Gino, thank you for joining the channel. Does a 9,000-mile battery exist, or is it snake oil talk? I don't think a 9,000-mile battery would make sense. I think if you had a battery that could achieve 900 miles, you would use 2/3 of the battery and have a 600-mile battery. Why would you have a 9,000-mile battery? Doesn't make. Why would you carry the extra weight? How often are you going to drive 9,000 miles? Country's only 3,000 miles long. It doesn't really make sense. 2,000-foot wind turbine in Patagonia. Patagonia. You have to run some wires to get that electricity to somewhere useful. Which top 3 countries do I get the most views from? I believe it's the United States, Canada, and the UK. Last time I checked, it was the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Australia, I think, is number 4, and Germany is number 5. That might be reversed. Last time I looked. I just looked last night. A rocket launches a controlled explosion, yeah. So, I mean, people complain about Amazon. Look, if you don't like your job at Amazon, quit. Go work somewhere else. I like the fact that Amazon... My mom is in an assisted living facility, and I needed something for her. When I need something for my mom, I'm able to order from Amazon. It usually gets delivered in a day or two. And I'm able to get my mom things that she needs quickly through Amazon. I don't really go to stores anymore. I buy almost everything on Amazon because it's a lot more convenient than having to go to a store. Retail isn't that great of a job either. I mean, what are the good jobs? Do I think the FSD from California to New York will still happen? Yes. Yeah, I think that's coming soon. I think it's coming later this year, early next year. I don't think that's important. I don't think it's bad if the vehicle drives 98% of the time and you drive 2% of the time. That's good enough for me. I mean, in the long run, we need to get to 100% of the time in robotaxi. The robotaxi network is a heck of a lot more important than being able to drive from New York to California. That's my take. I don't think the driving from New York to California is important because we very rarely do that. It's being able to drive someone from home to work and work to home and out to the bars and drive them home so they don't have so drunk people aren't driving. Those are the big deals. Will Starlink and Tesla cars link up? Probably not. I don't think that Starlink is important for cars. When are we going to see more sexy women in your videos? I think the sexy women are gone from the videos. We went through that for a while, and it just seems like that's not the way this channel's going. Women waitresses and men in construction most commonly make 6 figures in my experience. I don't think a lot of women waitresses make 6 figures. I think bartenders can make good money. It depends on the restaurant, of course, but make more funny YouTube. I'll try to make a funny... That's a good idea. I'm going to try to make a funny video. I have a couple of videos in the works. Next video is going to be a boring company video, which will be boring. Rideshare app. I think that Tesla's going to have a rideshare app that's going to be... But it's going to be... it's just going to be the robotaxi app. Yeah. All right. So let me just close for those who are watching now. I don't know how many people are watching now. Can't tell how many people. 600 people watching. Okay, so just let me just again thank the Vasa Law Firm in Sweden, Patreon supporters. Brad, I appreciate you. Here's the big. Sorry, the big news is Tesla produced 206,421 vehicles in the second quarter of 2021. That's the quarter that ended June 30th. They typically announce the numbers the second day of the following month. I am going to be talking about the Fort Lauderdale Boring Company tunnel in my next video. That 206,421 is an increase from 180,338. This is a big deal. 14% increase, maybe a little more than 14% increase. And the key point here is you go from 206,000 you have 180,000 produced in Q1. You have 206,000 produced in Q2. I think they might be able to get to 240K, 240,000 vehicles produced in Q3. I think that's a stretch, but I think it's reachable. It's reachable to get 240, and then it's reachable to get 275K in Berlin. And with the addition of Berlin and Texas in Q4, with the growth, the regular growth, and adding that in, I think they could get to 275,000, and that would hit 900,000 vehicles for this year, which would push them towards 2 million for next year. So, boring bikini girls. Thank you, Sue. I know there's some people who prefer not to have sexy women in the videos. So that was sort of the challenge that's the challenge of running a channel. You got to figure out what you're doing, what's important. Yeah, Starlink antenna is too large for cars, correct. Let's see. Michael Chapman says, as a former restaurant owner, I can tell you how to make a small fortune in the restaurant business. Start with a large one. That's a Richard Branson line. How do you become a millionaire? Start with $1 billion and then buy an airline. And then you will no longer be a billionaire. You'll be a millionaire. So Tesla blows away Wall Street expectations. I don't know if it blew away. It's good. Samir, I think that 900,000 vehicles produced. I think production is more important than deliveries. I think 900,000 is a little bit optimistic, but reachable for 2021. More importantly, if Tesla more than doubles in 2022, as Drew Baglino has hinted at fairly clearly, then I think we see 2 million vehicles in 2022. And I'm a down the road guy. I'm not a short-term guy. I don't focus on the short-term stuff. So, sexy robots, yeah, exactly. How long ago were the bikini girls? I don't know, a few months ago, 6 months ago, something like that. I think if you search my channel for German girls, you'll find the video you want. There's a few of them, but it's done, it's over. It was fun while it lasted. Is it possible they update with a higher number? Delivery numbers will increase about 0.5%, I think they said, maybe. So, but then the production numbers won't increase, just delivery. And just to be clear, the sexy girl thing was just like a brief thing to separate parts of videos, and I just stopped doing it. T800 has also created an gigapress. Is that the Terminator? Makes sense. All right. Well, anyway, that's it. Looking forward to a possibly reaching 900,000 vehicles. Oh, the market doesn't seem. Let's just see. Eric Chow asks. This is a great question from Eric Chow. The market doesn't seem to react to the delivery numbers. Any thoughts? Yes. I don't think that Wall Street and short-term stock traders care about Tesla's short-term performance numbers. I don't think they care about their long-term performance numbers. They are looking at completely different things that do not correlate to what really drives the fundamental value of a company. This channel, I talk about what I think is the fundamental value of Tesla as a company. I don't talk about short-term share price. I talk about where it's going. What's limiting 4680 production by 2025? I think by 2025 we're going to see huge 4680 production. I don't see a big limit on that. Do I think Tesla gets heavily into drones? No. Tesla restaurant robot servers? I don't see that. 1 million production is possible. No, I don't think 1 million production is possible this year. I think we can rule out 1 million vehicles in 2021. I don't think there's any chance of achieving 1 million vehicles this year. I think the possibility is that this is the path to 900,000. Okay, we got 240,000 in Q3 and 275,000 in Q4. That would get us to 900,000 in 2021. What's more important than that is 2022. I think that gets us to 2 million vehicles in 2022. You're welcome, Sue. Thank you for the feedback on the girls. Yes, Michael Chapman, the bikini girls are over. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry to lose your subscription. There's a history there. You know, I was doing the videos. They did help what's audience retention. People watched videos longer because of them, but it was a mild effect, and there were a lot of people who objected. And at a certain point, when 30% of your audience is angry at what you're doing, I mean, only 5% of the audience is female, but apparently there's a lot of males who don't like it either. So I stopped. Will they upgrade 2170 the way? And let's be clear, I still like girls in bikinis. Will they upgrade 2170 the way they upgraded 18650 to a different chemistry? I talked to a Tesla insider. The change in chemistry in 18650 was not that big. And the change was a while ago. The Plaid Model S has the same chemistry as the 2020 Model S. The 18650 chemistry did not change between the last 2020 Model S and the new 2021 Model S Plaid. It's the same chemistry. They saved a lot of weight in a lot of ways, and that's a big part of it. And they came out with this absolutely insane new motor with carbon fiber wrapped rotors. That is why Plaid is amazing. That is why Model S long range is as good as it is. Think of the weight that they dropped. They redesigned the interior. They did a lot of things. The big chemistry change is going to be in 4680, not in 2170 and 18650. There may be some incremental gains in 2170 and 18650, but it's really going to be 4680 that's going to drive it. How about cute puppies instead of sexy girls? All right, I'll think about cute puppies. I will think about cute puppies. Did Q2 come out? I thought it was end of July. Oh, so what happened is Q2, let me just answer this for Ledoux. Q2 vehicle production and deliveries was announced. It was 206,000 produced, 206,041 produced, 201,000 something delivered. I'm focusing on the production numbers because I think they're more important. So Q2 financial numbers will come out in about 3 weeks. Or later in July, late July, that's when we're going to see the Q3 numbers in the investor call. And then maybe a month or two later, I think we're going to have an annual meeting. And we're going to have AI Day. I don't know how they time that. But that's what I think is coming. Yes to puppies. All right, a lot of requests for puppies. We'll have to start squeezing puppies in. I do like puppies. Maybe I'll steal some frunk puppies from Earl. Earl, I'm stealing your frunk puppies. I'm going to use your frunk puppies in my video. That makes total sense to me. Real timely data better than bikinis. All right, so we're 43 minutes in. I did not intend this to be a long video, longer than I intended. So again, looking at 900,000 vehicles in 2021. Hopefully, this is a stretch. It might be a little optimistic, but 900,000 vehicles in 2021. And thank you to Patreon supporters. Please, Elon was less wrong. Let's all be less wrong. Puppies and bikinis. All right, very good. So, and thank you very much for watching. I'm going to let this go.